The purpose of this presentation is to explain the importance of victimization within history. This presentation will explain how victims were once put aside from all sides of the spectrum, while the offenders had the spotlight of society. It will discuss the beginning of the studies of victimization, as well as the various types of victimization, theories, and present-day challenges. With the world becoming more technologically enhanced as time goes on, crimes are inevitable. The media has always portrayed more information about the perpetrator, while no one has ever talked about the victims and the traumatic experiences they had. The original meaning of a victim was a person or an animal that was put to death during a religious ceremony in order to appease some supernatural power or deity, while the most present-day meaning of a victim refers to individuals who suffer injuries, losses, or hardships for any reason at all. One can become a victim by many different reasons, such as an accident, a disease, or discrimination. Different types of victims can include children, sexually assaulted adults, domestic violence, arson, fraud, identity theft, gang violence, elderly abuse, human sex trafficking, DUI, DWI crashes, white-collar crimes. The history of victimization can be traced back to the 1940s and the 1950s. Before then, criminologists' only focus was on that of the offenders. Looking for an answer to crime, criminologists stumbled upon the important roles that victims play in crime with the offenders. Criminologists then considered victims to be top priority due to them being overlooked for so long that they put so much time and research into them that by the 1990s, victimization had become so widely known in the United States and all over the world that students had the option of taking a course in victimization to learn more about it in over 240 colleges. The media has actually had a very important role in discovering the victims. The media was always used to giving more information about the perpetrators. It was known as the offenders receiving the lion's share of coverage in newspapers, magazines, and on the radio and television stations. Until the 1940s, when the media started to learn more about victims, that they started to share more of the publicized cases, which had two things in common. The defendant was either a child, a woman, or a wealthy being, or intimations of being promiscuous. The behavior by the victim or the defendant helps to explain the event, and some doubts linger about the guilt of the convict. But the media was portraying more and more information about the victims to where society was learning more and victims were getting the help that they needed instead of being pushed to the dark. Victimologists have found that repeat victimization happened in children from the ages of 11 to adults of the age 33. They were then put into different categories such as chronic, multiple, intermittent, continuous, direct or primary, indirect or secondary, and survivors. As research started in the years past with victimization becoming more and more important, victims should have gained their rights from their offenders, many of the researchers came to the conclusion of. The offenders have had a very large amount of concern shown for their rights, while the victims have been pushed in the dark. Some of the rights that the victims have gained are denial of bail, protection from further harm, defenses, privacy, evidence, offender's age, restitution, appeals, notoriety for profit, and abuser's tax. There are also those researchers who believe that victims should have gained their rights from the criminal justice system officials and agencies that have neglected their needs for so many years, while the offenders were the only matter at hand. Some of the rights that the victims have gained from the criminal justice system are the general rights, case status, court appearances, secure waiting areas, employer intercession, suspect out on bail, negotiated plea, sentence and final disposition, work release, parole hearings, pardon, release of a felon, prison escape, return of stolen property, restitution, and compensation. Due to all of the research and all of the victim rights promotions as of late, The victims have become what are known in the world of legal scholars as the symbolic heart of modern legality and a valued commodity in the circuits of political and media exchange.